Hey everybody, it's Dr. Eric Malcavs. We're back for another edition of Thyroid Thursday and answering another listener question today. The person had a series of questions that all kind of focused on food sensitivities and thyroid physiology issues. So I'm going to clump them into this one Thyroid Thursday video. Hopefully I'll get these answered. If there's more questions from the same person, send them off to me, and from other people, obviously, if you have any questions, put them below wherever you watch the video, or send them to me through Instagram or even to me through my website at rejuvegencenter.com. So this person wanted to know, do food sensitivities cause thyroid antibodies to go up and cause hypothyroidism? Well, a couple things. Could food sensitivities or food reactivity be one of the things that triggers inflammation and that triggers thyroiditis? And I do think that it's a possibility. Now, if there's damage to the thyroid gland and if there's inflammation in the system, could that be a cause? It could be, but for a lot of people, I don't think food in itself, food reactivity is the primary driver. And yes, I know people have reactivity to wheat and to gluten and to all kinds of things. And you can test positive for it. And hey, when I gave up gluten, my thyroid antibodies went down, or my thyroiditis improved, or my symptoms improved. If you're reactive to one or two foods, it's probably a really good idea to remove those foods at least temporarily, and then do what I'm going to talk about here in a couple minutes. But what a lot of people have challenges with is that they get diagnosed with hypothyroidism, they get diagnosed with some condition. Somebody says, give up gluten and you'll feel better. And you give up gluten and you start to feel better. And then you plateau, and then they're starting to have signs and symptoms again. And somebody says, well, you got to give up dairy too. And so now you give up gluten, now you've given up dairy, and you feel a little bit better. And then over time, the sinus symptoms start to creep back. You're not eating gluten, you're not eating dairy. And now you find out, oh, it's this cassava powder I added into my diet, or it seems to be the corn. And so now you remove another food, and this kind of thing keeps going, and you remove and you remove and you remove and you remove. And then in time, you might be down to chicken and water, and you just don't feel well at all, and you have nothing that you can really eat. So I'm really concerned about restrictive diets. I think they're a great tool. Anti-inflammatory protocol is a great tool early on to help make some changes to the gut biome, to what's going on in the GI tract. But restrictive diets in general, and the more restrictive they get, I think it becomes more and more problematic. And if you have more than one food that you're reactive to or sensitive to, the issue is probably less about the food. The issue is probably more about the function and physiology of your GI tract. Low stomach acid, not taking time to sit down and eat, so you're not producing appropriate levels of acids and enzymes to break things down, maybe permeability issues in the GI tract. So could foods be part of the process that's creating some inflammation, that's triggering cell stress response, maybe thyroiditis? Yes. Are the antibodies like little Pac-Man eating away your thyroid gland? That's really not the case in most part. Thyroglobulin antibodies don't cause any damage to the gland based on the literature, and TPO antibodies cause very little damage to the thyroid gland themselves. It is the T cells that actually are probably causing more of the damage. Do I need to remove all foods I'm sensitive to reduce the thyroid antibodies? That's a tough question, because it all depends on what you're reactive to. So if you're reactive to 150 foods, you can't remove 150 foods. So I don't think that makes sense. If it's one or two foods and they're really problematic, I think it makes sense to reduce those at least, or eliminate those temporarily. But if you've got multiple foods reactivity, multiple food sensitivity, maybe you've done a food reactivity or food sensitivity panel, and maybe you've done that too early. If you get one of those tests done and you've got lots of antibodies to lots of foods, you probably have digestion, dysbiosis, and permeability issues, and that's resulting in poorly digested food, proteins, peptides crossing the GI barrier and triggering immune reactivity. And so if you've got multiple things you're reactive to, you've got a gut-based problem. And so it might be beneficial to just eat a cleaner whole food diet and get focused on trying to improve stomach acid production, bile physiology, pancreatic enzyme output. Make sure you're feeding the bacteria that should be producing short-chain fatty acids so that these bacteria can produce the short-chain fatty acids that keep the immune system in check and help maintain the integrity of the GI barrier so it doesn't become too permeable. Because if you have poor digestion, if you're in fight or flight mode when you're eating, you're not and you're kind of shutting down the rest and digest system, you probably aren't going to break your food down well. You're probably not going to have real healthy integrity of what we call the tight junctions of the GI tract, and those poorly digested proteins are going to cross the barrier and trigger reactivity. And that's usually the biggest cause. I'm not opposed to running food sensitivity or food intolerance tests, but I don't think you should really do that too early. I think one of the best things to do is try and work on improving the health and the function of the GI tract, improving your dietary habits. And then if that seems like it's in check, then maybe doing the food sensitivities, food reactivity after that may be a better idea. As I was saying, the most important thing you can do if you have multiple food sensitivities is improve your digestion, work to improve the intestinal permeability, work to identify dysbiosis and imbalance of the bacteria in the GI tract, and work to support the immune system. And to do all those things, you're probably going to need the help of a functional medicine practitioner who really understands some gut physiology and its tie to thyroid physiology. Is it possible to add back foods that you've been reactive to? Yes, I think it is. And I think it's probably beneficial to add healthy whole foods back if you can digest them, if the immune system's calmed down, if the GI barrier is in better shape. You want to add back as much healthy whole food as possible, because it's generally thought that the more diverse your healthy food diet is, the more diverse the gut flora, and the more diverse your gut flora, the healthier you will be as an individual. Yes, there's lots of religious wars out there when it comes to what type of diet is better or best. I think for the vast majority of us, the long-term plan should be a healthy, whole food-based diet that includes both plant and animal sources. Any diet, any radical diet change that you do could change how you feel. It could make you feel better. It could make you feel worse, but it's going to change something in your gut when you do a radical shift and change in your diet. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best strategy long-term, okay? So if you have any questions, put them below wherever you watch this video. If you haven't done it yet, go out and get a copy of The Thyroid Debacle, the book I wrote with Dr. Kelly Halderman on how we should be thinking about getting healthy, getting well, the challenges in the allopathic model, and even the functional medicine model when it comes to thyroid physiology. All right, take care.